You're listening to Travel Tales with Fergal.
Hello, my name is Fergal O'Keefe and you're very welcome to the podcast. I've had a number of comedians over the last 3 seasons and I'm delighted to say that my special guest today is Karl Spain, who is my favourite Irish stand-up comedian. I've run a comedy club in Clonmel in Tipperary for over 15 years and Karl Spain was the MC at my very first show, and I'm delighted to say he will be headlining my next show, which is a Christmas special on the 9th of December in Baker's Bar in Clonmel. Tickets on sale now from tickets.ie. As you will hear now, Karl isn't just a great stand-up comedian but also a great natural storyteller. Karl tells us about his love of going to sports events like the Football World Cup, and he shares great stories from performing at gigs all over the world, including Brussels, Romania, Hong Kong, China, Thailand, the Philippines, Australia, Edinburgh, Ireland, to name just a few. The first question I asked Karl was to tell us his first travel memory.
I went to Holland for football trips, went to England, Limerick were in Europe, and my father organised a trip to Madrid for the Limerick played Real Madrid, and I should have gone on that. I wish I had gone on that. They got a tour of the stadium, and Limerick.
So Limerick played Real Madrid in Limerick, or
no? They played in the European Cup, but then they played the home match in Dublin, in Lansdowne Road.
Wow.
And then played the away match in the Barnabout, and they were 1-0 up, and I think they missed an open goal or there was an offside goal that wasn't offside, and then they equalised with dodgy penalty, and then they got a winner. So they won in Dublin 2-1, I think, and then they beat Limerick 5-1 in Madrid. Now the famous thing, Real Madrid got to the final that year, and they conceded 4 goals the whole season, 2 of them to Limerick. And 1 to Liverpool, beat them in the final. And the Liverpool player scored in the final was Alan Kennedy, and the 2 Limerick goals were scored by Des Kennedy. But there was a Dukla Prague or someone scored against him in some match as well. But yeah,
and did your father go to it? Is that
my father and brother went to that? So they would have been the trips then afterwards. We didn't kind of go. We went to Wales in '83 in Tenby on a holiday. I think we just Tenerife, Tenby, just like went to the same page for picking holidays. But I went to England, for a football match. Limerick played Southampton, and went to Holland. Limerick played as at 67 Alkmaar, and we saw Celtic play Ajax the night before. But it was funny, the hooligans in Alkmaar stole my scarf. Just ran past, I was 10 years, 9 or 10, grabbed my scarf and ran off. And I read years later that what the hooligans used to do was steal opponents' scarves of men they'd beaten up. So this guy was claiming, oh yeah, I beat up a Limerick United, rather than just grabbed it off a 10-year-old and legged it. But yeah, those trips were amazing. That was, you're meeting, because you're hanging around with the team because there's so few of you there. And we got chased by hooligans in Alkmaar afterwards, and there was a girl from Limerick who was living in Holland, had a Dutch boyfriend, and she said, come this way. And I remember we were wrapped around a tree on a little tiny island in a park. So there's water around us where kind of she goes pulling by the tree, and the tree is over, so we're shaded in the shadows, and we just see all the Alkmaar hooligans then running down the road and running around the park and going away. I thought it was incredibly exciting. Now I'd be going terrifying. Like, my father must have been frightened. I wasn't. I was just like I was thinking, why are they picking on me? And, why would they attack? But it probably would have got a kick, or if they caught us, they probably would have done. But it was this thing of they had. I mean, even we would chat in Amsterdam because Celtic were over, and the Dutch would just go, oh, you British, and so they're not Celtic, we're the Irish. It's not British though. They just correct us on saying we're Irish. No, you're British, and they were going, no. I says, no, we're Irish. We're here for another match, and they went, no, Celtic, British, Irish. It was mad. I actually went back to Amsterdam for the Europa League final for another football match when Chelsea played Benfica a few years ago, and the hotel I just randomly booked was next door to the one I'd stayed in, the Schiller Hotel, and there's a damn, I can't remember the name of the square. Literally booked into the hotel next door, and when I went back I went, it's just a hotel.
What was it like?
a little bit nasty, but it was, the Ajax fans were looking to fight the Chelsea fans, but we were just hanging out. Myself and my brother's a Chelsea fan, and we went. So we're kind of just having a drink or something like that, and you'd suddenly see a group of police or then some Ajax fans running, going, oh, the naivety. Oh, Ajax must be playing tonight.
But the atmosphere must be. I went to a Real Madrid game, a Champions League game a couple of years ago in Madrid. I just thought it was amazing.
Oh, they're incredible!
Just the whole Champions League.
Yeah.
I've been to Liverpool one as well, and just the way that
I was at the Real Madrid Atletico Madrid Champions League final in Milan, and
off the charts.
Incredible, yeah. I did see the greatest team of all time, which was the Barcelona beat Man United.
Wow!
And Man United fan
in Wembley
was at that, and when Rooney equalised, I remember I was jumping up, and you're going. I was laughing, thinking, if United win this, it's a crime against football. And United weren't a bad team. Probably the best time in their history. They've reached 3 finals. They were winning the league most years. That's literally that snapshot of their history was their the best time. And that Barcelona team were just
another level. Like seeing Messi live must be amazing.
I've seen it. Yeah, I was trying to count when he was nearly leaving there the other week. I thought I've seen him a few times. I saw him play for Argentina in Dublin. I saw him in Old Trafford in the semi-final where Scholes in 2008. Scholes scored the only goal in the whole 2 fixtures, and Messi was. I said he was like watching Messi play. It was like they were playing on ice, and he was the only one who'd been given skates because he just moved like quicker, better, And you'd see. I remember seeing defenders just walking back, trying to run backwards. Like doing quicksand or something.
I was at some live. They said that he actually doesn't. There can be periods where he's doing nothing.
Yeah, he'll walk around.
But maybe, and then all of a sudden, boom, he makes...
Yeah, but he happens to be in the right place when something happens.
True.
Like, yeah, he was amazing. Ronaldo was amazing as well. Cristiano Ronaldo, seeing him, it's like human perfection in some way. Like, he's just, this athlete, but like everything, you're just thinking, this is just incredible.
The more the pressure, the more he loves it.
But it's amazing. Travelling to see matches, because you go to the match earlier. If the match was on down the road, you think, it's kick off in 10 minutes, I better go. Yeah. Whereas when it's a one-off like a final, you'll be there 3 hours beforehand. You'll be walking around,
and you
soak it all up. Like,
so you've been to a serious amount of stadiums. Then where is your favourite?
I loved Munich. I loved the Bayern Munich.
Their new one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was in the Olympic Stadium in the 90s, but there were like dots and with the track around it.
I loved it because you walk in and there's a level below and there's the 2 levels above. Everything just seemed to be really well organised, nicely laid out.
It was very close, isn't it?
In the World Cup in 2006, and the atmosphere was, you could tell. I mean, I've been to Germany a few times, and I find it hard to say anything against the Germans. I think there's an anti-German sentiment still there in English media. It's rivalry, but still World War II references or whatever else. So you can see that. But I would say I don't have a bad German experience. I've been
and they're great fun. Places. They love it,
And during that World Cup, I was all over Germany, and they were making such an effort to really this is new Germany now, and it was the first time they could actually wave their flags in a long time. Yeah. So national pride had returned after whatever,
Which is a lovely thing about
60
sport,
years. Yeah.
Allowing
that you can wave your flag without seeming like a racist.
Yeah. But that's what kind of makes it, isn't it?
Yeah.
And was that Olympics? Was that amazing? Or not Olympics?
It was the World Cup. 2006.
Yeah. Like amazing.
Amazing. I got myself and my friend John. We got Weltmeister pass, which was the train. You could get any train you wanted. We bought the first class one. I think it was like 300 quid. But we travelled like for a few weeks. I really enjoyed it. That trip to Germany was fantastic, and we went to different matches. But we were getting out to one of the. I think we're in Hamburg trying to get to the stadium, and we just asked this old woman, and she was so nice. She was nearly getting on the train with us, and I'm going this way, and they were, I genuinely, I had great fondness for the Germans after the World Cup, and I remember there was an American. Was at the USA-Ghana match, and Ghana went ahead, and the German woman beside us jumped up cheering. An American guy turned around and said, "Go on, you're just cheering for them because we beat you in wars and shit." And I went, "How dare you? How dare you?" He goes, "What's it to you?" He says, "I went, I'm from Ghana." And he looked at me. There was a Ghanaian guy laughing in front of us. I'm from Ghana. I'm from Accra. And I was like, is Accra the capital of Ghana? I'm not even sure. And he's just looking at me, and he was just the Ghanaian guy just told him to shut up. Then he said, "Why are you telling me to shut up?" And the Ghanaian guy just pulled up his T-shirt, showed this ripped, muscly stomach. Shut up. As in, like, I'll fight you and I'm fair, whatever, like that. And your man was just eating some kind of nuts he was eating, and he was just throwing them on the ground really aggressively. But I just thought it was, it's sport. So the opponent score and someone jumps up, it's really personally at you, like, But but the whole World Cup experience, World Cup is great.
So you've been to a couple, haven't you?
I went to German World Cup, then I was at the 2008 European Championships, which was in Austria and Switzerland, and again was perfect. The joke was, geez, they should give everything to the Germans. They do a great job. But and South African World Cup, which was unique in its own way. The great moment for that was I was at Brazil, Ivory Coast, and we're on the far side of the ground. So when you looked up, it was the Brazil flag and the Irish flag, because it was the Ivory Coast flag reversed, because you were on the other side. And I said, that's just... I remember I have a picture at home somewhere, like, took the picture, and Soccer City was where the World Cup final was meant to be on. So if we had been Team 33, who knew that could have been a real thing. But
so where was Soccer City? In Johannesburg?
It's God, it is Johannesburg. Yeah.
Was that 100,000?
It's a massive stadium, yeah.
What's it like? Was it amazing?
It was great, yeah. And outside, again, people were lovely. We keep getting... we hired a driver for the time, so we rented a car, but we had a driver to drop us off and then collect us after the match, because parking was an issue. And he got carjacked on the last night. Literally. Oh, his son got carjacked. So my brother was going with our driver, Francois, to collect... He was going to meet his son and go away. My brother would come back with the car, and the son was carjacked. Literally pulled up at a petrol station. He goes, "Oh, we're down 2 minutes," and in the 2 minutes, he was carjacked. So we were getting warned about that, level of crime, and you'd stay.
Did you feel it in the air?
It kind of would make you nervous. You'd be in a bed and breakfast, and it's like you're in a prison, because it's like electrified fences or razor sharp wire, and you're kind of going, "Do you really need all this?" And they were like, "Yeah."
So where did you go? Like when you were in South Africa for the
for the World Cup, I was in Cape Town as well. We went to Cape Town. Was actually fun. I'd been to Cape Town on holidays. When I did gigs in Johannesburg, then we went to Cape Town on holidays. In Cape Town, you could walk around fine, but Johannesburg, they just told us there's nowhere to go, nowhere to walk around. And even we were brought by comedians and promoters to this restaurant, and it's an outdoor, sit outdoors, but you have to go in a underground car park and then come up onto the street. So you park your car and you walk up to the street, but nobody can walk onto the street or drive onto the street. So it's just a street scene, but it's like a movie set. So you're sitting outside in a restaurant and people are walking around with bars and restaurants, but nobody can get in there unless they come through security underground. And you it's really kind of going on. It does kind of make you a little bit kind of,
It's not like that in Cape Town's a little bit...
Cape Town was fine. Yeah, Cape Town was amazing, really.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
It's beautiful, and we flew in, and you're looking over Table Mountain, and it looks spectacular, and you're going, oh my God, this is just gorgeous. And then you look, and all the way in from the airport is just shantytown after shanty, and you're just thinking, oh Jesus, this is terrific. And then you start seeing where they're doing the work. So I don't know, like the likes of the Niall Mellon Fund or whatever. You just suddenly see the end of the shantytown, a bit of a clearing, new house. Whoever, I don't know who's building, but they were starting to regenerate.
It's a beautiful city, isn't it?
Gorgeous place, and really was. You're going out to Robben Island where Mandela was. I don't know if he had the same experience, but it was interesting that one of the former prisoners was given the tour, and he was talking about how one of the things they did was they all gave up cigarettes when they got in there. I think it was Mandela's idea, so that they couldn't use your desperate need for a smoke to get information or to coerce you in any way, and just little things like that. So we have a picture. Myself and my girlfriend Rachel have a photo. It looks like it's in Mandela's cell, but the cell was closed, but we put my arm in through the bars and took a picture of the two of us looking sad as if we're behind bars. And it's kind of undermined by I was wearing a Wham t-shirt. It's last day of laundry on the tour. But Cape Town I would recommend highly.
Amazing.
And the area along that we did a tour of the wine region. So you go off on a bus tour, and it was mainly couples It was all couples, like about 8 people on the thing, and it was really nice. I don't drink wine, but I still really enjoyed
It's
the tour. But he took us to this town nearby. Is it Stellenbosch, which is the wine region, but I think it might be Stellenbosch, the town. And he was talking about how the university here is mainly female, so the courses are mainly female orientated. And then he starts like on the microphone, so we can hear him, but the people out like were crawling through the town. And there's these attractive girls that said, "Look at them, look at these girls." And you see the girls, and we're going, "Oh my God." The tour guide is there going, "Oh, watch that girl." And we're going, "This is unbelievable, please stop." And he goes, "Oh," he's true, like, "Oh, you come here, you definitely score with women." And we're just going, this is, for all the tour, and suddenly this weird.
He's gotten so used to it.
But I was
imagine every day, this guy's probably going through the town, lunchtime every day.
She is, yeah. And I was thinking, geez, I should go back to college. Nursing might be the thing for me.
So you've done a lot of soccer, matches around. Is there somewhere in the world that you haven't been to yet? Some club or stadium?
South America I want to go to. I'd love to see the Boca Juniors River Plate derby match, which I might be too crazy to, I'd have to get into the posh seats because it looks mental, there's just...
It's like 100,000.
Yeah, and it's crazy, and they're all shake rat, and you just think, you always hear stories of, 2 people died, or they were fighting outside, but it's crazy. They met in the Copa Libertadores final there a couple of years ago, which is like the Champions League final. It was a 2-legged thing, and the second leg had to be played, was it in Madrid, actually, but...
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and... you're just thinking, just the madness of it. I'd love to see that, but I've never been to South America. I'd love to travel around South America.
Brazil as well.
Brazil, all of the, Venezuela, Chile, all, I know them all. Uruguay, I can name. Central and South America, I'd love to visit.
So you need to get a comedy gig going
there.
Yeah.
I remember, was it Andrew Maxwell, I think, was doing a gig in Buenos Aires. I remember being so jealous and asking him about it. He goes, "No, it's a one-off kind of corporate thing." But would they have someone else next year? Because that's the great thing about doing comedy and travelling, is you get paid to go to these places. So it's not, you think, and that's what you can...
So do you love that? Do you enjoy that part of it? Because
I love it. Anywhere different. I mean, I think it was Ed Byrne. Well, Ed Byrne said it to me about travelling and doing gigs. He says, it's much better to change your audience than change your material. It's so much easier.
It's a great line.
It is a great line, but... so that was the first trip abroad as a comedian was Brussels. So I started in 2000. This would have been maybe 2001. I'd been to Edinburgh for a competition, but I was in Brussels for a gig as a support to Jim Jeffries.
Wow.
Before either of us were hugely successful. And the weird thing working with Jim was, I met Jim and we got on great. And when I met him when he was in Dublin recently, we met up. And it's one of those comedy friendships. With comedy relationships, I think you just need a small amount of time with someone, and you either decide, I get on with this person, or I don't. So I hadn't seen him in years, but you'd still go, there's the guy from Brussels, Edinburgh, Birmingham, wherever we've gigged, Galway. I remember meeting him in Galway and walking down from I was bringing him to the after party kind of venue, and I was never more recognised in my life than that 20 minutes walking down through Galway with Jim. And it was like, "Karl Spain, legend! Karl Spain, how you doing, Karl Spain?" And Jim was literally telling me about hanging out with Megan Fox and her husband and other celebrities, and he just, "Are you a big deal here now?" And I went, "Well, it looks like it, Jim, doesn't it?" Brussels, I was sitting there, and I was still new and nervous, going, "God, I hope this works." And it was mainly mixture of European people, or foreigner, English speaking people from all over the world. Expats, yeah. And I'm sitting there with my set list, and Jim, "What's that?" I'm at my set list, and we literally were about to talk about the same topics. Not that we had different jokes, but the same topics. And he said, "Well, what's your bit on..." I used to have a routine about Jesus. And he goes, "What's your routine about Jesus?" And we had one line in it that we couldn't both do the same line. I can't remember. They were close enough. And he goes, "We're going to have to decide who does that joke." And I went, "I'm on first, Jim. If I remember it, I've decided." But it was a great experience.
Does that happen? I've never heard. So
never. It rarely happens. Not that you
comedians don't do that. They don't discuss.
Not before, but I never. Just that I had it written. I was writing out on a piece of paper my set list, so literally the topics. And he goes, literally, it's like I'd written out his set list. And he goes, "What's your bit on that?" I was just telling him, and that. so that would have freaked him out. You know what I mean?
of course.
Going, hold on a minute, and I'd never heard of him before. You know that. You know, now you'd know someone from YouTube or you'd look him up. Even the internet was new enough in those days. I probably didn't even know who I was gigging with till I got there. And it was just the weirdest coincidence. But it was different material.
What was that like? So that was your first audience abroad. Is there a difference between audiences around the world?
There can be, yeah. I think the audience abroad, like if you're doing an Irish show, even if it's not all Irish, the audience, they give you a little bit extra because, this is reminding me of home, and it's, these people are from home and they're doing well, or we're really enjoying them.
Throwing something about bag of potatoes.
Yeah, yeah, any kind of reference. Or, you know, sometimes if you go, there's lots of foreigners, but mainly Irish, and then you just speak in Irish for 2 minutes, and the Irish just love it.
About the foreigners.
Yeah. Oh, it's all London, and other countries. But I'm also, if there's a group of English in, like, then you just talk Irish, and it can be a bit of fun. But you go anywhere, and you'll meet Irish people, and you know, it's incredible. Any of those gigs, you know, across Asia, and I was meeting back, you know, back part of China, you know, Qingdao, Guangzhou, and you're thinking, like, why would that? You know, it's not like it's advertised in the Limerick Leader. I wonder, there's a job now there, lads, for an engineer in Guangzhou, or
and you literally could be anywhere in the world.
Could be anywhere in the world, and someone will come in and go, "Oh yeah, no, you."
And they'll know you.
Yeah, you did a TV show. I think I know you. Or you'd meet that. I went to school with Tommy Tiernan or something like that, and you're going, "Hold on, you're about 5 years younger." I was in the same time as him. Like, you know, he wouldn't know me now, but it is amazing. You go to these places, and because it's an event, the comedy gig, they'll come to it. Do you know what I mean? It's not like you're just wandering, because you're going to be in the hotel. You're not likely to run into tourists, but you won't run into the Irish as such. But in Hong Kong is my favourite for that, because the Hong Kong gig was so established, everyone would come to it. And I was meant to do it in March. I'm meant to do it next March. Mm-hmm. But 18 months ago, I brought over a load of potatoes as a prize. And I'd hand them out, you know, 6-pack of potatoes to someone, and we were there for 5 days or something like that. And I go, for the 5th day in a row, it's actually the prettiest girl near the stage that's won. That's won the potatoes. And
you know, when you say it's established clubs, that means the established ones have a great atmosphere, don't they?
Well, the club is well established.
The crowd know what
they know. They know they're getting a good show. Like the guy John Moorhead is his name, who's ran gigs there probably 20-25 years now. And literally had everybody out there, you know, so McIntyre, Peter Kay sent him, you know, they were talking about him, he hadn't seen Shawshank Redemption. Peter Kay sent him a VHS tape of Shawshank Redemption when he got home. There's that level, you know, he's around, and everyone you can think of.
And what's Hong Kong like? Is it?
Hong Kong is amazing. I get upset when I see the protests and all that stuff now, because I'm going, I know where that is, you know, because it's as big as, you know, it's not that big, but it's quite compact, and it's you know, there's different areas around that you go visit when you're there, but it's that photo of the city, or the footage of you'd see of the, you know, the bright lights and but you can walk around it and get around most of it, and I just love it. It's one of those cities of the world, like, you know, I don't know.
It's got energy. It's 24 hours.
Yeah, it is 24 hours, but it feels really safe. You know, I'm not going in looking, you know. Into a dive place looking for, you know, a knife fight, or, you know, Russian roulette. You know, we're just strolling around and shopping or whatever. But it was absolutely fantastic. I remember I don't think was it the second time I was out there, myself and an English comic went into this pub. We were just sitting in the pub, and the music was on, music videos were on, and I just think, looking up, and we're giving it going. The standard of the music video here is rubbish, and the singing, just thinking, like, you know, Western music. I mean, we realised that the other around the corner was a karaoke, so these are actually just singing on a stage, and there's little filters and extra stuff been put on. So we're watching the video footage from around the corner, because I'm looking, going, she even looks like the girl.
Did you do it? Did you do that?
No, didn't do the karaoke in Hong Kong. No, I've done it. I did it in Romania last July. 12 months.
What was that like?
It was mad. I think the promoter who was emceeing used to be in a band, So he was quite happy to get up and sing, and I sang the Cranberries in Romania upstairs in a room that would have been much better for
Which
the comedy
one?
gig.
Zombie or?
It was Linger, I think.
Wow.
It was Linger, and I was completely sober, going, "What am I doing?" And literally going, "I hope no one." I must never admit I've ever done this.
I did it. You know that movie Lost in Translation?
Yeah.
I was in Tokyo and I was with my boss, and we ended up doing karaoke with like Japanese agents, you know.
Yeah.
And I was singing "U2" with or without you. And as I was doing it, it was like 2 a.m. up in a skyscraper.
You're thinking,
going,
God.
how am I doing this? So you mentioned there about China.
Yes.
Again. So where in China were you?
Because the Hong Kong gig has been going for years. So anytime I've been to Asia, which is about 5-6 times, you used to do a week in Hong Kong, and then you usually used to go around Asia. So I've been around China a couple of times. So Shenzhen is near Hong Kong, and Shenzhen was the place that if you read Made in China, it's usually made in Shenzhen. So it used to be a fishing village that now is a population of about 20 million over the last 30 years or something. So we usually would go from Hong Kong to Shenzhen, and then you get to train or fly. It was like Xi'an, where the terracotta warriors are, Guangzhou, Qingdao, Shanghai, Beijing, and every city is like a different country. China. I would highly recommend. I've never been to Wuhan, but China, Shanghai, and Beijing couldn't be more different. You genuinely feel like you're in two different countries altogether. But most of the cities are very different from.
Is it very different?
The previous one.
So different culturally. Is it hard to travel there?
It's quite straightforward. The one tip you should, if you're going, is write out your hotel or where you're staying, get it written out in
Chinese,
Mandarin, Chinese, so that the taxi driver, because you can be showing them they're just no idea, and they'll drive around thinking until you see it. But you know, some of the cities in China are just.
What are they like as an audience?
There would be some Chinese in. It's mainly expats, because any city, if a city has 20 million, there's going to be a few thousand expats. But there has been Chinese in, and they're kind of laughing. They still do the laugh, covering their mouth, but they were great. I think if you can understand it, you do cater your material to make it more universal. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like Mary Harney used to be the reference. You'd go like, you can't tell a Mary Harney joke in Glasgow or Edinburgh. Anyway, the Edinburgh Festival. I don't think I ever had a Mary Harney joke. You'd have to make your material. You talk about your own human experience or the human condition or whatever. So once they can connect with that, or they'd have some idea of Ireland from their friends. Like, they're not there as just curious Chinese people going, what's going on here? Let's go in and have a listen. I understand English.
And you were through Asia as well then? Through
Asia, I did the Philippines. I haven't done Japan, actually. When you mentioned Tokyo, I was getting jealous again. That's been on my list. Yeah, Thailand was. I've been to Thailand backpacking before, and the Thai people are gorgeous people, just absolutely lovely. They were really lovely. Philippines was a bit, it was kind of seedy, and you're kind of we walked around, and it's just people hanging out the windows, hello daddy, and you're just thinking, God, if I was here 15 years ago, I might be your daddy if I knew your man. But it's scary. I'm only there for a couple of nights. When I was in the Philippines and Thailand, there was a female comic with us, and the promoter said, because Lucy's with us, we're not getting hassled.
Is that Lucy Porter?
Lucy Porter, yeah, because we could walk down the street and.
Did you notice that the difference?
The girls, well, your man said it just says, like, you'd see them talking, hello, you'd saying hello, and you're going like, and the funny thing, where was it? Hong Kong. There was this club we're walking past, and there was about 6 girls outside dressed in school uniforms. And myself and Lucy, I think we had a running joke for the next 2 weeks of the education in Hong Kong. Those girls will study so late. But it's one of those things, just, kind of frightening, in a way, just going, Jesus, what's going on,
And you've been to India as well, haven't you?
I've been to India, to Bombay, as they call it, Mumbai, I did the joke of, God, how far is it from Bombay to Mumbai? And they were like, this is the same place. Why are you saying that? And I'm going, it's a joke. The funny thing about, it was the Comedy Store in London opened in Mumbai, whichever, and it was amazing. Like the beautiful comedy club set up and high up in this incredible shopping centre, like put 5 Dundrum shopping centres on top of each other, just incredible. And the Indian people were all, well, the people who came to the gig were all really well educated, spoke perfect English, and it's the one place I've been where there was very little expat. It was mainly Indians, and it was very elite. So they were like telling us there's all these Bollywood stars coming, which meant nothing to us. Shilpa Shetty was in one night.
Wow.
But they were saying, like, the staff were getting very excited, going, oh, we're excited because so-and-so's in tonight, and they were talking about like the elite of the elite. But we were told if you do any kind of smut, any kind of sex story, to just howl, because it's not something they talk about, it's not in their culture. So I was there with Phil Nichol, who was doing this thing where he was coming on to a guy in the front row for the whole show, you know, singing songs about him. Kumar, come on. And we'd done it the first night. I'd said it, we didn't do this, but Phil finished the show. So John Fothergill, the MC, came back out and wraps up the show. And they're howling, like, this is all from Phil. The crowd just absolutely destroyed the room, like just one of those, you know, 1 in 10 gigs in your life you've even witnessed. Place is absolutely destroyed, and then Phil just pops his head out, but he's taking his top off. So it's like, Kumar, I'm waiting, and the place is just gone. And then I stuck my head out with my top off, and just, come on, Kumar, and I never, people just literally falling on the floor, out of their chairs, on top of each other. The most incredible reaction from an audience was that night in Bombay. I'm calling it now, Bombay. In May, we went that night to a rock club and an Indian death metal band, but they all thought we were the record company that they just signed to. We thought myself, Phil Nichol and John Fothergill were the record company. Well, no, we walked in and they were like going, oh yeah, put us in a lovely booth, and people, you could just see them all, like, the friends of the band are kind of going, oh, the record company are this is great. We were going, no. And then Phil was talking guitars with them and stuff. That was a fantastic trip. The other thing that, I don't know why this sticks in my memory, maybe I do, myself and John in the hotel. It was always, you arrive in the hotel and everything's beautiful, and you know, the streets are incredibly crowded, but you arrive in the hotel and it's gorgeous. You're always in 5-star accommodation as well in these places. You feel kind of like a gilded prisoner or some sort. With those foreign trips, it really helps, especially on a comedy trip, with who you're with. Yeah. If you're with, like, you'd hear horror stories of other comedians who've been on the trips. Like, you know, I could name 5 or 6 comics that apparently were a nightmare. Literally, we're meeting at 12 to go for something and to go for lunch, and then like 12:30, can we ring their room? I
even know, like, when I was doing my comedy festival in Clonmel, I would pick people for their comedy ability, but also their personality, because you could you could see it, like the years when the comedians, when they gelled, they perform better on stage, and it added to, and their enjoyment comes across. You can comedians,
but it also makes it for if you're promoting the gig and people, and you know, so you're doing the gig in Clonmel, and you've people. I mean, it was Sarah Millican. And
first gig in Ireland. Actually,
was it her first gig in Ireland? And I remember it was Sean Hughes, Craig Hill. Yeah. There was one amazing gig, Simon Brodkin with Lee Nelson, whatever. But it's also, if everyone's happy, they'll hang around and meet the people afterwards, rather than, oh, thank God that gig's over, I'm back to the hotel, I can't hang around with these people. And you know, you not take it out, but the audience get a raw deal then.
Exactly.
Whereas in, like, but it can work the other way for the comics. You know, you do gigs in, you know, Dubai's usually fantastic, but I remember the first time I went out there was one of these venues. It was a venue out from Dubai, but still technically Dubai, and the audience, like, the gig had been great, and the audience afterwards were horrible. It's just like going, oh.
They were great during the gig.
They were brilliant audience, laughed at everything, couldn't have been nicer. And then afterwards they start being racist, start to bullying one of the other acts, giving him shit. Wow. One of the comics still giving him shit, saying, oh, you shouldn't have been doing that material, it was rude or whatever. And he goes, what do you mean? And he just bluffed. He went, I've been invited out here by Sheikh whatever. And he goes, what? It was an Arab started picking on him, like saying, you should not be doing that stuff in this country, blah blah blah. And he goes, I've been personally invited out here by Sheikh blah blah blah. How dare you? What's your name? And you went, oh, and ran off.
So, do you know, we were talking there about being with other comedians, then there is a certain atmosphere in festivals, isn't there?
There is, yeah. But I mean, I think, you know, 90% of comics get on with each other. We kind of understand, You know, we understand what it's like for each other. You know, there's a better understanding. You know what it's like. The people who are successful are still friends with people who aren't successful.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? So it's not like, okay, all the successful people are in that VIP area over there, because they probably don't get on. But you know, you at a festival, you'll know someone. You'll be chatting to someone you might know. I'm doing comedy 20 years. There's probably someone I know 20 years. I mightn't have seen in 12 years, but we had a great time wherever, in India or whatever, or Newcastle or Glasgow. We had a lovely weekend together once, and you go, oh, how's it going, blah blah blah, and
So,
you get on.
just a bit more of interest, like what festivals, say comedy festivals or music festivals, what ones abroad would you recommend that you liked, that you were
Well,
at?
as a performer, or
just say for someone to go to, like if somebody was into comedy.
any of them. Well, I would highly recommend everyone attend live comedy. Why would you not? I think for performers, the things like Edinburgh. Edinburgh's an amazing city. It's a slog as a festival, it really is. But you're there for 3.5 weeks, and you'll make lifelong friendships there. Do you know what I mean? You'll
Definitely.
be someone that's on in the venue just before you or just after. You'll have a quick chat with. It's not necessarily all about networking, but you never know.
Yeah,
Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? It's about being decent and them seeing you. Oh,
True.
he's actually good. Can you recommend an Irish comedian? Oh yeah, Karl Spain wasn't. You know,
I remember seeing a late and live highlights of the last 20 years or whatever, and you were in it. You were,
oh god,
they had you in it. It was,
I had the late and live thing for the listener. It was a show that starts at 1 a.m. and many a famous comic.
it's kind of a rite of passage, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a rite of passage, and have died on their arse horrendously. And my first one went fine, and Dara Breen had come down to watch me, and I was like, "Thanks for the support." He went, "I came down to see you die." I died on my first one. And I was, well, fuck you. And he was laughing, going, oh no, it's fair play to you. But like, I've seen lots of famous comics. I saw Michael McIntyre really struggle, really, and watching him work so hard to try and win the audience round and not quite making it. But lots of comics, anyway, people turn it round, it can be, I don't think it's as bad now.
Yeah.
But around the time I started, nothing to do with me, but
That's kind of part of the thing. The audience felt like they all had buzzers, you know.
yeah,
what I mean?
it was like, you know, yeah, you were a gladiator basically,
Yeah.
and you know the audience would decide thumbs up or thumbs down, but it depended on the MC as well. Like, you know, before my time, like, so Johnny Vegas would be, you know, Ross Noble, Adam Hills, then like Daniel Kitson. I used to see night after night, being amazing. But then Russell Howard was there. You know, there are lots of people people who went on to be big stars would be there most nights. But I remember seeing Flight of the Conchords on with Jimmy Carr and David, you know, all on the one night. Just going, this is fantastic. I used to kind of one year stayed across the road from the venue, so you're just watching them night after night.
Flight of Conchords.
Well, yeah, I used to go see them whenever I would pick them. I would follow them to go see them back in 2002 or 2003, whenever no one was going to see them, like, but we kind of got to see them and go every night. I just love them. But yeah, now you look at it and you find it. But that's the thing of being around 20 years, that you have these stories of seeing. Yeah, I saw Elvis.
Exactly.
But you know what I mean? What? Because now it just, you know, you'd be very lucky to see them in such an environment.
True.
You know,
That's kind of part of the thing with Edinburgh, is going and seeing comedians that, you know, have potential, you know.
well,
at the
just
very
you're
start.
discovering someone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like sometimes
I saw Jake Whitehall, like, at the before he had
oh yeah,
the
yeah,
very
yeah.
start.
I knew him as Jack.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be as familiar with him, but Jack being a support act coming over to Ireland, and I met Jack a couple of times after that, but since he's become a big star, I haven't seen him, and he's one now. I'd be gone, if I met him, he'd be like, oh fuck, what's his name again? What's his name?
As long as you call him Jack. And
I'd be
not
like,
Jake.
Jack, hey Jack.
So my last question is Emer's question that she wants me to ask.
Oh, God.
And so it is.
What a terrible question.
So she says, if you close your eyes and take 4 deep breaths, allow yourself to think of your happy place from your travels, and where would that be?
Do you know where it is? And I've said this to Rachel everywhere we go. My happy place when I travel is waking up the first morning we've arrived in a place, when we're not travelling for a few days.
Yeah.
So we've travelled the day before, and we finally got into bed, you know, had a shower, got into bed, and I wake up the following day, and I'm knowing that now it's what I want to do rather than being on someone else's schedule.
It's the start
It's
of the
usually Dubai. In that trip we do, the travel is, it's not hellish, but it's just it's a long day, because sometimes I've driven from Limerick, got to Dublin airport, fly from Dublin, we fly to Abu Dhabi and get the bus from Abu Dhabi to Dubai. So by the time we get there, they're 4 hours ahead. So the day is gone. You go to bed, but when you wake up the following day, so anywhere I've been, when I wake up the following day, that's my favourite moment of my holiday. I've had my first proper sleep on my holiday, and you wake up and you go, now this is where we start refreshed.
Lovely.
After breakfast.
Yeah. I like that.
So yeah, I think wherever you go, that for me is the thing. That first morning of, I'm here for a week.
I would ask if you could please subscribe to Apple Podcast so a new episode will appear in your library every week. I would also really appreciate if you could leave a rating and a review, as it helps others to discover this podcast. To find out who's on every Tuesday, please follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Travel Tales with Fergal. Stay safe and keep dreaming of future travels.
Travel Tales with Fergal.